Hold on to your hats, folks, because Bethesda has disappointed their fans all over again. This time with a countdown timer that ended in no new games or even the announcement of new games. Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show brave enough to recommend that you should maybe lower your expectations for the company that used to be an open world RPG giant.
Yeah, we're hoping they still got the sauce. Hope remains eternal. This time Elder Scrolls 6 someday will be the game that turns it all around, but I don't know. I got my doubts and I gave up on Bethesda a while ago. I got some strong feelings, but I'll save them for the end. First the news, or really just the complete lack thereof.
That's right. There is no new news. That's the problem. And people were writing blogs and articles about the fact that there was no news. Hopeful fans convinced themselves that a countdown timer like me, I was very hopeful. There was a countdown timer on Amazon's Fallout website for the television show that would conclude with, ideally, let's say a shadow drop like they did with Oblivion last year for the rumored Fallout 3 remaster.
Yeah, that made everyone happy, so why wouldn't they follow that up? Also, Fallout 3 remaster is such a slam dunk. Surely one could launch at any moment, right? Well, I mean, there was some extremely circumstantial evidence that could reinforce this. The timer was set to expire when the final episode of Season 2 launched. So, of course, it's like, hey, Season 2's done. Go play a fun video game. Wouldn't that be great? Folks also pointed out other things, such as the Oblivion remaster developers Virtuos posting about their work on the show, because they did some prop work and environment work, or the promotional skit that used the conversation UI from Fallout 3 specifically.
Interesting. Also, there was a very, very brief thing where they removed the trailers of Fallout 3 on Steam. And they did that before the Oblivion remastered shadow drop as well. So they removed those trailers off of Steam, and everyone was like, "Oh, that means it's coming."
I guess they just didn't want the trailers up. I don't know what that's all about. Bummer. And what may have reinforced all this is, of course, games reporting out there far less brave than our own leaned into the rumors, had giant images saying Fallout 3 remaster will launch on the 4th, etc. Ended up not being true, of course.
Dang it. Some even theorized the non-existent game could even be, this is the hope of all hope, the Fallout New Vegas remaster. Because of Season 2's setting, the television show was in New Vegas.
Sure, and everybody, I think, has wanted that game to have another run, another day in the sun. But no. Instead, the countdown unlocked more behind-the-scenes content from the show. Specifically, we got a 3D walkthrough of the Lucky 38 penthouse suite, and just some photos of the production, which it's nice. It's nice. It's not a game.
It's not a game. This really is another predictable event. Lawrence has been predicting this for quite a while. And a string of disappointments because Bethesda Game Studios seemingly just doesn't make games anymore, apart from really Starfield.
Yeah, that was there, and it's okay. Yeah, mostly it's, I don't know, sometimes I feel like maybe an over-worrying parent. I just want the gamers to stop hurting themselves. And I think part of that is going to be a little bit of a Band-Aid rip. But let's see where Bethesda's at right now. The last mainline Fallout game came out 10 years ago. The last mainline Elder Scrolls game launched 15 years ago, so it's been a long time.
In the meantime, they launched Fallout 76, which has attracted a steady player base, and of course, the generally underwhelming Starfield. And also, Elder Scrolls Online, which has a pretty solid player base as well, but those are games as a service. Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online. So
they didn't make Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh, okay.
That was ZeniMax Online Studios, not Bethesda GameWorks.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Really splitting hairs, I guess, but it can get confusing under the Bethesda family.
I appreciate that you brought that up because I'm sure somebody was going to be like, but Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of other games that other studios have made that may have these brandings, but yeah, specifically we're talking about Bethesda Game Studios, and they are the ones through which these games would flow, or so we hope. But there's also been a lot of mobile games along the way, trying to give credit where credit's due. Fallout Shelter, I mean, that was 2015, but it was pretty cool. Then you had the Elder Scrolls Blades and the Elder Scrolls Castles. But they're still a studio and they employ hundreds of people, so what are they doing?
I know. They are working on something. They must be, right? They have to be. We thought this would be a good opportunity here to review the list of rumored Bethesda titles and see where they're at. Because we don't really know, but we could guess.
Yeah, it's like you're kind of hitting the hangover phase of the drink and you start going through your high school yearbook. I think that's where we're at right now. So let's start with what we hope would be first in line, a Fallout 3 remaster. There is reason to believe that this is real. We first heard about this back in 2023 thanks to documents that leaked as part of the FTC's lawsuit at the time to prevent Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard.
That's right. In that leak, a release schedule listed a Fallout 3 remaster for fiscal year 2024, which sounds like maybe they were trying to hit the Fallout Season 1 release, possibly, of the television show. But that didn't happen.
That does make sense. There are other games listed there too that never happened as well, like Dishonored 3, damn it, or a Ghostwire Tokyo sequel, damn it. Those both sound awesome.
Yeah, the document leaked in 2023. The document itself is even older than that, which might explain how the plans have diverged and we haven't gotten those video games yet, or maybe not at all.
Yeah, maybe they predicted very smooth development and it was anything but smooth. Maybe it was working at a studio that shut down. Who knows? But that does mean, theoretically, if it was listed there, that a Fallout 3 remaster was in development before 2023, which would put it 3-4 years old at this point. And how is it not launched? It's a remake of a game that's fairly known and should be just a straightforward development. Where is it, Bruce?
I don't know.
Ah,
The only thing I can tell you is Virtuos was working on Oblivion Remastered probably for 4 or 5 years. Supposedly Virtuos is also working on the Fallout 3 remaster. And again, that was a shadow drop. So I don't know. Maybe they outsourced it to Virtuos somewhere along in that process of Bethesda working on the Fallout 3 remaster. And they're like, you know what? Let's just give it to Virtuos. They're doing a great job with Oblivion Remastered. They can do Fallout 3 as well. But Virtuos is a very busy studio. They are doing a lot of different things. So maybe that's on the back burner at Virtuos?
could be, or there's some promotional event in the future that they're aiming for timing with. I would think launch of a premiere TV series would be the one, especially because there's evidence of this working with Last of Us and it driving game sales and stuff like that. So I can't believe there's a better opportunity than that for Bethesda from a business sense. So yeah, I guess we can continue speculating. It seems like a lot of golden opportunities have come and gone for a Fallout 3 remaster. But what about the next one? The next big one, Fallout 5. Where's that game?
Oh my gosh, that's further away than the other Fallout games we even know about. Probably further away than Elder Scrolls 6 too, I think.
Oh yeah.
Back in June, way worse. Back in June 2022, Bethesda luminary Todd Howard told IGN that Bethesda would work on Fallout 5 after Elder Scrolls 6.
And we have no idea when that game's coming out. We had a very premature announcement. And we just assume that it's simmering. They're cooking it up this whole time. But yeah, without even a date or even a window, doesn't seem like it's going to come out in 26. I'll say that. So maybe 2027, which would put Fallout 5, best case scenario, 2030, 2031? And that's if Bethesda were churning at the pace of a modern AAA company, and they seem slower than that.
They really do. And then Lawrence, where is the greatest video game of all time? Fallout New Vegas remastered. Where is it?
Oh, geez. That seems to be kind of made up, unfortunately. As far as I can find, there's never been a rumor or a document leak, anything to suggest that Bethesda or anyone is working on a Fallout New Vegas remaster at all. The closest was, I think, Jordan Midler on a Friends Per Second podcast. I was digging back through my notes all throughout history, and he mentioned that the Fallout game we all are waiting for is in the works, which he was probably talking about Fallout 3 remaster. He could have meant a New Vegas remaster, but why would they release that before 3, right? That doesn't make any sense. And the only reason they would even consider doing a New Vegas remaster is if they re-release 3 and it does great numbers. So there's a couple of steps down the road, I think, before they would even greenlight something like a New Vegas remaster.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been mentioning, they're like, well, I don't understand. There's no way they can do the New Vegas remaster because that was Obsidian. Well, guys, Microsoft owns Obsidian. They own Bethesda. They own all the companies. So they could just put them all together. And if they wanted to make a New Vegas remaster, I'll be your hopium for this episode, just so you know. I'll be the one being like, but they could do the thing. But I've been saying for a very long time, like Lawrence just said, that Fallout 3 Remaster will come first. They're going to test the sales on Fallout 3 Remaster. If that does amazing, which it probably will, then they'll do New Vegas.
Well, and I'm going to, you know what, Bruce? I'm glad you're here for the hopium because I got a wet blanket for that already. I was going to mention this later, but we did see that both Avowed and Outer Worlds 2 did not perform. And those are the best contemporary versions of a game like New Vegas you could probably ask for. It's even from the same developers. I mean, I just recently played through Outer Worlds 1 to kind of catch up. And that is a New Vegas. It really is in most ways that count. Despite some very specific... I mean, it doesn't crash all the time, so it's got that going for it. But if those games don't work, then a new Vegas remaster is probably unlikely. Like if they have the sales data for a modern version of that thing and it already doesn't sell, then all that New Vegas would have going for it is nostalgia, which is pretty powerful, but I don't know if it's powerful enough.
I completely agree with you. It's really sad too, because I mean, like, while I wasn't crazy about Outer Worlds 2, I did like Avowed, and I thought Obsidian were making games that a lot of other people are not making. So it's sad to hear that they're like, we're probably not going to make Outer Worlds 3. And it sounds like they may make another Avowed. Either way, a lot of people shit on them for Avowed and Outer Worlds. They really took a lot of abuse in the press, and I was just happy that they made a game similar to Fallout.
Yeah, there aren't many developers making games like that, and I love games like that when they're, more interesting than Starfield, and those games were. So I was pleased as punch, at least with Avowed. So yeah, I agree. It's a bit of a tragedy. I'm not quite sure what standard people were measuring those games to. Those total distraction, but those games kind of seem like they're an easy punching bag on launch. I don't know, when Cyberpunk came out, that was a whole other story. Never mind, we won't worry about that. All right, let's drag it back to Bethesda Game Studios and what they may or may not be working on. The next thing that we can figure that they would do is port Starfield to PS5, but that also seems to be taking forever, and that's extra confusing because they were developing Starfield before it became a platform exclusive. There had to be some development work done on PlayStation, or at some point in the project it was known that might happen, and yet here we are, 2+ years after release.
We're going on 2+ years. We're going on 3 years.
Nothing. Not even an announcement. No date. Who knows what's going on? Maybe they're just not in a rush.
Lawrence, they are leaving money on the table there with the Starfield port for PlayStation 5. This is something that Microsoft is doing. Xbox Game Studios are putting their games on PlayStation 5. The only thing that I could see holding this back is some license agreement that Bethesda signed with Microsoft. Doesn't make any sense though. Microsoft bought Bethesda. So Microsoft could say, no, we're putting this game on PlayStation, and Bethesda could be like, okay, because they're owned by Microsoft. So it doesn't make any sense that this port is taking this long.
Yeah, I agree. There could be some kind of massive tech debt that they racked up over the, I mean, that's kind of that's the mythical boogeyman when it comes to any Bethesda game is just how rickety and jank the engine and tech powering the games might be. So at some point when Bethesda got acquired and Starfield became a system exclusive, it's possible that they made a series of very convenient decisions specifically for console hardware that are very hard to undo or port over to a PS5. But that's also a little confusing to me. Like, that would make more sense 20 years ago. Consoles nowadays are not as dissimilar as they used to be. So again, it's just baffling that a port is taking this long. And like you said, Bruce, it seems like it's easy cash. But Bethesda seems to walk away from a lot of that these days.
So the last sign of life we saw from Bethesda was then the worst possible sign of life. The Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition update last November. And Lawrence, everyone hated that.
Yeah, I did find some folks doing the usual you gotta cut Bethesda break thing, some positive reviews on Steam that were just like, okay, if you get around the bugs and the errors and the crashing and you patch it yourself, this is actually okay. That's what all the good reviews were. Very strange. But yes, this was a $20 update. It's only $5 right now. It's on sale, so there you go. But it broke pretty much all the mods, introduced more glitching and crashes, in exchange for a content pack that was mostly community-made skins. A few new guns is what people said, but not a whole lot of content, not a whole lot of quests and characters and things like that. So yeah, mostly people were just really upset with it.
This is just a real bummer because I have a really soft spot in my heart for these games. I love these open world games, specifically from Bethesda. I even really liked Starfield. And I could see how Starfield itself was pretty boring in the sense the narrative was pretty boring, but I just loved running around doing the Bethesda thing, which is shooting everybody, looting them, like making funny stuff happen in the game. That's kind of, I feel like, what those games are for generally. Whereas New Vegas had a really fun narrative in addition to doing the dumb Bethesda bullshit that you do in a video game. So Starfield really felt like a departure from the really loose, fun tone that most of those games have, like a Skyrim, where it feels serious but dumb at the same time. I love the way they do that, and they're just not doing that anymore, Lawrence. They just aren't, and they haven't done that for a very long time. So it makes me very sad.
Yeah, I agree. Starfield's writing was occasionally humorous, but that's about it. That's the best you got. I don't know. To me, it's been this Bethesda's output has been this continuous decline, not only in like interesting writing, but also complexity of gameplay, even of ambition in their titles. Which Starfield was nice because there were parts about it that were very ambitious. I like the aesthetic, I like the architecture, like the parts of the game that were actually handcrafted were really cool looking. The guns, the items, all good stuff. But yeah, outside of that small sphere, it's a very lifeless game. All the characters that you interact with are very robotic and just kind of parrot the most basic video game archetypes. Yeah, it's a bit tragic. It seems like they've gotten very comfortable making games of a particular type, or maybe they think they've identified the most salient ingredients, and that's all they aim to deliver now. The over delivery of the past seems to be gone.
And it's weird too, because Virtuos, I feel like, breathed new life into their games, into Bethesda's game. Not Bethesda Game Studios, but Virtuos, another studio, kind of knew what they needed to do with the remaster. They kept the funny, ridiculous parts of the engine from Oblivion remaster or Oblivion, and then made the game look better. Sort of modernized it for what you wanted to do nowadays. And strangely, Virtuos, I think, has a better handle on it than Bethesda does on their own games.
I wonder about that. Yeah, it's pure theory crafting and pure just outside observation, but part of my gut says that Bethesda has kind of a tech problem. Not only, and this is mostly evidenced by Starfield. Starfield was, to be snooty, Starfield was kind of technically unimpressive for a studio that used to, push technical boundaries, or at least deliver a game that would kind of open people's horizons to the types of games you could play. But yeah, man, Starfield was very underwhelming. It wasn't doing things games hadn't done yet. It couldn't even do things games had been doing for 10 years. And that's a bit concerning, especially with what you mentioned about how Virtuos found a way to integrate its older tech with something newer and create kind of a new experience. It kind of drives me to this headcanon theory that Bethesda's tech may be tied up in the engineers that have been there and know the systems and have created them. They might have some very old and very comfortable tech engineers that have all the secrets locked away up here. And the progression of entire game projects is contingent on these like 10x tenured engineers that come in their shorts for 3 hours a day, remind somebody how to fix one bug, and then they're out again. But you can't get rid of them because they're the only ones who know. I don't know. This is a thing that used to happen, and I have no idea. Maybe Bethesda, because of their acquisition too, maybe have a lot of money flowing around, and the fire to launch a product is a bit gone. So maybe this confluence of events has just like really hit the brakes on everything they can do, and I think in a lot of ways even handicapped the technological capability of their games. But again, that's massive headcanon. I have no clue. It's just, like some of the circumstances are when another studio gets a fraction of a game and they can build up a whole thing out of it. And here's Bethesda that can't even make something interesting with their own tools. I don't know. I think things like that say a bit about where this is coming from.
My only comparison is Valve. Valve people have been asking them, well, why don't they make these games that people want? Why don't they make Team Fortress 3 and Half-Life 3 and all these other games? Because they don't need to. They're making billions of dollars off of Steam. They made Deadlock for fun. And by the way, that's going to become a massive video game. It's going to make a shit ton of money, just like Counter-Strike and all those other ones, and Dota. So Valve just could chill. And I think maybe that's what Bethesda's doing too. They're like, we can outsource these remasters to another studio, make a license fee on, somebody that, whatever, Oblivion Remastered sold 5 million copies. Who knows what it was? And we just got to chill. Done. And Todd Howard was like, well, let's make a space game. So they made a space game and it was fine. It sold okay, but they're like, well, we can remaster Fallout 3. Let's just do that.
You know what? I agree, Bruce. And if that's the case, then God bless them. Making video games is so fucking hard and stressful, and you go through all of that potentially crunch, and you do all that so assholes like me can be like, it was okay. So I get it, man. I get it. And I think if any studio, similar to Valve, if any studio has earned taking it easy, I think Bethesda has. So they can do that, then the young and hungry devs can come and make Outer Worlds 2 and no one can give a shit. So I don't know. It's I agree. And if that's the case, if it is just people largely kicking back, taking it easy and working on the things that they want at their own pace, then that's great. I used to be a little more spiteful about it. But now that there's 3 billion games made by everyone all the time, the pressure's kind of off on these individual studios to make their Hallmark games, I think.
Man, absolutely. Thank you very much for mourning Bethesda Game Studios with us today. We missed your games, Bethesda. We'd love to see more. And if you enjoyed our reporting on this lack of news, consider checking out our Patreon. We have a little Patreon you can support every single month. We post all of our content there for free, each with a free Lawrence trademark meme. Daily memes for you. It's all completely free there. And you can support the Patreon whether or not you go and check out the free content. So we'd like to shout out a few of those Patreon supporters right now. Scotty Ryan, Overly Sarcastic Productions, Noel Test, Nick Calderon, and Aristotle Cabot Burris for somehow sticking with us, despite Lawrence's snooty game opinions about Skyrim.
What can I say? Hey, last time I played Skyrim, I had a good time. I enjoyed it. Fallout 4, though. Oof, that one's not great. That one's a bad one. Sorry, folks. Fallout 4 is bad. Sorry. Rest of the world will get there eventually.